Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Absolute Truth. This is the Bible study that focuses on the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth concerning the Word of God, while leaving out all personal opinions, speculations, and beliefs. I'm Brother Joshua, and today returning to read for me is one of my all-time favorite readers, just an all-around good brother and a day one-ish ABT member. This is the one, the only. Give it up. Go ahead, brother.
All right. Good afternoon and peace, Brother Josh. Thanks for that introduction once again. And also peace to the elders, teachers, and students at ABT. And once again, thanks for giving me the privilege to read for this lesson. Appreciate it.
Praise God, Brother Jeff. Praise God. And, of course, we consider it a privilege to have you reading for us today and look forward to any and all input you may have concerning today's lesson. And based on the title that you see at the top, I'm pretty sure you're going to have something to say about this one. But before we get started, let me first say to everybody on Clubhouse, welcome, and also give you a shout out for being able to navigate to this room and find us if this is your first time listening to us, with all these crazy updates they've made to this app. But we still have to let you know, give you a little friendly reminder, this is our Sabbath class. This is not an open discussion yet. What that means for you on Clubhouse is if you have a question or a comment about today's class, simply hold it until the study is over. Once the study is over, we start Q&A, in which you can simply raise your hand, and one of my mods will bring you up to the stage where you can ask any question about any topic, including today's class, or make any comments you want, provided you are respectful. That's the key word, respect, right? And speaking of respect, to everybody in the chat room, please try to keep your chatter to a minimum. That doesn't mean I don't want you to say anything, or if I bring out something that you never thought about, you can't post what you think about it, in the chat. I'm not saying it has to be a silent chat, but bear in mind that my mods will be posting scriptures and sources in the chat. And if you're spamming up the chat with all of your, amens and your commentary, then people will be missing these sources and they have to scroll up and comb through everything you're saying. Also, don't be having a back and forth discussion in the chat. I know the new app sucks and you have to record what you got to say, which I'm sure you probably can't even do while you're in the room listening to somebody. I don't know. But if you have something to say to somebody in the chat, DM them. Don't go back and forth with them in the chat. Don't try to do your own miniature lesson in the chat. And don't try to take shots at me in the chat. If you do, one of my mods, I guarantee, will promptly expel you from the room. No questions asked. You'll just be gone. If you feel like you were kicked out of the room unfairly, hit one of them up in the DM. Not me, because I don't check that stuff and really probably don't know how to do it with these new updates during the class, and explain yourself to them. But I warn y'all all the time, my mods rarely, if ever, make mistakes in this department. So if you got kicked out, you had it coming, more than likely. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's get to today's class. The title is, Why Did Joseph Want to Put Away Mary? Again, today's class is titled, Why Did Joseph Want to Put Away Mary? And for those of you who follow the activity that goes on Clubhouse and on YouTube, you already know why I did this particular study. The other day on Garfield Reed's YouTube channel, by the way, shout out to Garfield Reed for hosting a nice debate platform. Very organized. Love it. Shout out to Garfield Reed. But the reason why I'm doing this class is because the other day, Captain Tazaryach and Vocab Malone, two well-known people on social media, had a debate titled, is Joseph the biological father of Jesus according to prophecy? Something like that. So this is like the umpteenth time I've heard Captain Tazaryach debate this particular topic, professed Christian. It's gone under many different titles, but at the end of the day, all he's really debating is, was there a virgin birth or not? Was Jesus supernaturally born of a virgin, being a woman who had never had sex, or did Joseph impregnate Mary to give birth to Jesus just like any other normal person? It's the same old debate over and over again. And I actually caught a good deal of it. And even though I maintain that Vocab Malone was right, I agree with his view. If I'm being honest, I have to say that Captain Tazaryach won that debate. I feel that he was more prepared, his arguments were stronger, and he just made Vocab Malone look like an amateur. I really did think Vocab Malone would do better. I'm not saying that he was garbage. He was not. He presented scholarly information, but it just doesn't seem like it kind of gelled with Captain Tazaryach's style of debating. It wasn't to the point enough. It wasn't just key hitting arguments. That's my opinion. And I wasn't alone. A lot of people in the chat, most of them being Hebrews, of course, they felt the same way. But I can tell you like this. I personally feel a way about something, and I keep it to myself. And I see a lot of other people voicing the same thing that I'm thinking, then that means, yeah, that's probably what's going on. That's probably the case. I'm not being biased because other people can see it too, and I have not said anything to them about it, right? But when this debate was going on, I was in the chat room, and I kept asking the question over and over and over again in the chat, and that question was, why did Joseph want to put away Mary? And even though people were occasionally talking back and forth to each other in the chat, everybody in the chat ignored that question. Nobody wanted to address the elephant in the room. If this question is understood and answered, then it settles once and for all if Jesus was born supernaturally of a virgin or if Joseph was his biological father. And see, when you deal with this particular topic, you have to understand that when it says Joseph minded to put away Mary, that word put away, sisters and brothers, is a law of Moses legalistic term. It does not just simply mean, oh, he just cut her off for whatever reason. That's a legal term. So when you see that, you have to ask yourself, what is the meaning of this legal term or phrase, put away? And nobody likes to deal with that. Now, I once heard Captain Tazaryach say, this ain't a shot at him, I'm just saying what he said. He didn't say this last night in the debate, but I've heard him say that before. Or maybe he did say it last night because I didn't hear the whole thing, right? But I heard him once say that when it says that Joseph put away Mary, it meant what we used to do in the old days in the South if one of our daughters got pregnant at an early age, like a teenage pregnancy, because y'all know back in the older days, that was unacceptable. And according to Captain Tazaryach, when it says Joseph put away Mary, it just simply means he sent her somewhere temporarily to have the baby to hide the shame of them both. And then after she had the baby, she came back. You know how we do in the South, like, if your daughter got pregnant, you would send her to live with her auntie or her grandma. The problem is, one, That is stated nowhere in the scriptures. It doesn't say Mary went anywhere, or that Joseph planned to send her a good deal away. Number two, it totally ignores the legalistic term away. And when you're dealing with legalistic terms, sisters and brothers, they have very specific meanings. They're not vague. When you're dealing with the law, it is usually not vague. Any law. They want to make sure you can understand what this law is, so if you break it, they have you dead to rights. So I'm going to show y'all in today's class, and I'm letting you know right now, I'm not going to necessarily go in the direction you think I'm going to go in with this. Because for me to show you why did Joseph want to put away Mary, I have to first show you what it means to put away a woman and why a man would ever do that. See, what they don't understand, and I'm going to prove this to y'all today, I'm going to prove this to y'all today, is that every single time, not every other time, not 90% of the time, not 95, not 99, every single time in the Bible when it speaks of a man putting away his wife, it always means she did something that he did not like or he personally did not appreciate. Every single time. It never includes something he did with her that was wrong. It never means something he did bad by himself that made him put her away. It always means that the man got rid of her or was planning to get rid of her because he suspected something bad was going on with her. Every single time. And once you understand that that's the legal sense and meaning behind a man putting away his wife, then you got to ask yourself, then what did Joseph think Mary did wrong? And when you start asking questions like that, all the One West Hebrews who hold to the same view that Captain Tazaryach holds to, and this is nothing but respect, they run for cover. They don't understand that this is just not some casual use of words when it says put her away. That has a specific meaning. There's an intent behind that. It means I think this woman messed up somewhere. I think she did something wrong. That's what it always means. So what we're going to do first, like I like to always do, we're going to start with the verse in question, and then we're going to go back and look at every single time it's used. It's a legal term. If you claim you are a Hebrew Israelite that still follows and adheres to the law of Moses, then why are you ignoring the law of Moses? Why are you dismissing the law of Moses when the law of Moses legalistic terms appear in the New Testament? You can't redefine what this stuff means. And that's the One West Hebrews do, whether they realize it or not. So we're going to start this verse at Matthew 1, 18 and 19. That's the only two verses we're going to read. We're going to come back to this, don't worry. But I'm just trying to show you something. Because this is the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address. And when they do address it, they make stuff up. They can't really tell you, based on how they understand what happened, why Joseph would want to put Mary away. And I'm even going to show you that all of it fell on Mary. Joseph was not afraid of anything happening to him, because they'll tell you, oh, he got her pregnant, then got scared, so he sent her away. In other words, he's trying to cover up something bad or inappropriate that he had done with Mary. That's nowhere in the narrative, y'all. Joseph only thought Mary was in the wrong. So we're going to read Matthew chapter 1, 18 and 19. And we got to be honest when we read, y'all. Don't be reading this stuff with a lens of your doctrine covering your eyes, because that's how a lot of people approach Scripture. They read Scripture with their camp doctrine over their eyes. They don't take that lens off and just read what it says, right? So this is Matthew 1, verses 18 and 19. When you get there, Jeff, read, please.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph. Before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost.
Now look at what this says. It said, now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise. What this means is how Jesus was born. That's what on this wise means. Then it says, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, that means she was engaged to him, before they came together. The one where Hebrews will tell you, oh, when it says before they came together, that meant before they went to the marriage chamber. Okay, I agree. But what happens in the marriage chamber after the marriage ceremony? They consummate the marriage. They have sex. So if you're telling me that before they came together means before they came into the wedding chamber, what you're saying is this verse is saying before they had sex. You can't insert what you wanted to say, even if you are correct, and then backpedal out of it when it backfires. So when it says before they came together, it just simply means before they had sex. That's why Jesus was saying what God has joined together to become one flesh, let not man put asunder. That's right there in the book of Matthew. We're going to read that a little later. So it says before they came together. But then when you get them on that, they'll say, well, before the wedding ceremony. But it doesn't say wedding ceremony. It doesn't say that. It says before they came together. And in the scriptures, came together means living as husband and wife in a consummated marriage. But then it says, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost. Found with child means she was pregnant. And of means from or through the Holy Spirit. It's telling you right here that Mary became pregnant through the power of the Holy Spirit, not through Joseph. But that's not even what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with why did Joseph want to put her away? That's in the next verse. Go ahead and read.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 19. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. Now,
look how this reads in the King James. And even in the King James, if you understand these old English words, you can understand what this is saying. It said, then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, just means righteousness. It means righteous. So it's telling you right now that whatever he's about to do, I want y'all to hear me on this, because sometimes I feel like I'm dealing with some of the slowest people in the world. I'm not even playing. It says, then Joseph, her husband, being a just, meaning righteous man, is letting you know that what he's about to do is an act of a righteous man. And not willing to make her a public example. This is the other reason. Because he's a righteous man, and he doesn't want to make her. It said her. It didn't say them, did it, Jeff?
No, sir.
It said make her a public example. Notice that everything is directed at her. It doesn't involve him at all, except what he's going to do about it. It says, and we're going to look up what it means when it says public example. Then it says, was minded, that means thought about or intended, to put her away privily. So whatever happened here is what prompts Joseph to want to put away Mary. And as I said, I'm going to show you that the only time a man in Hebrew culture ever put away a woman is if he thought she did something wrong. You cannot ignore the law, and you cannot ignore the culture. This is why they make up stuff based on our modern-day culture, and then they retroactively read that into Hebrew ancient culture.
True indeed.
That's what they do. You have to understand why the Hebrews put away their wives or even their fiancés. But before we do that, let's look up some words in the Greek. First, we're going to look up the word translated public example. And that is 3856 in the Greek section of the Strong's Exalted Concordance. The word translated public example, 3856. And the word is paradigmatizo. Paradigmatizo. And it says from Greek 3844 and Greek 1165, and it means to show alongside the public that is, I'm going to explain to you what that means, exposed to infamy. Exposing somebody to infamy means making them infamous, and being infamous means being well known for something bad that you did. In other words, this is saying he did not want to publicly humiliate or embarrass her for something she did. It didn't say he filmed, did it, Jeff? It never said that. Then it also says, make a public example, put to open shame. He did not want to put her to open shame. It doesn't say anything about him, word about himself, or that he was involved in this public shame that she would have got. Right? What we're going to do is read this in other translations, but before we do that, let's look up the word translated put away, because that's in the title, ain't it, Jeff? And that's 630 in the Greek section of the Strong's Exalted Concordance. The word translated put her away. 630 in the Greek section of the Strong's Exalted Concordance. And the word is apolou. Apolou. Or apolou. And it says from Greek 575 and Greek 3089 to free fully. Right? That is literally release, dismiss, reflexively depart, but look what it means if it pertains to something going on between a husband and a wife. It says, or figuratively, let die, pardon, or specifically, look at this, divorce. This word can also mean divorce or ending a wedding contract when it pertains to a marriage. Because this word can be used in general, doesn't mean to let somebody free, but when it pertains to a husband getting rid of his wife or deciding to break off the engagement, that's what it means. It says, depart, dismiss, divorce, again, forgive, let go, loose, put, send away, release, set at liberty. So when it says send away, it meant from the marriage. That's what it means. And I'm going to show you this is a legal term that means we are done. And the reason why I'm sending you away, the wife, is because you're no longer going to dwell with me. I'm going to prove that all the way back in Genesis eventually. That's what it means. And the Hebrews understood that. But to prove to y'all even further, that's what it means. Now let's read it in other translations. This is Matthew 1 and 9 in the easy to read version, or ERV. Look what it says, Jeff. Mary's husband, Joseph, was a good man. He did not want to cause her public disgrace. That's that public example. He did not want to shame her publicly. Then it says, so he planned to divorce her secretly. And we saw that one of the Greek definitions for apolou is divorce. And that's why they translated that way. And that makes sense because we're dealing with marriage. So we can see that he wanted to divorce her or break the engagement. But let me show you how it reads in another translation. This is the ESV, or English Standard Version, Matthew 1:19. And her husband Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, that's what it means to make a public example. Notice it keeps saying her, Jeff. It don't say anything about him, does it? No. Put her to shame. Resolved to divorce her quietly. Again, that Greek word, apolou, it lets you know. They know that. He wanted to break the engagement because he thought she had done something wrong. This does not mean he just wanted to temporarily stash her somewhere until the heat was off. It doesn't even say that. And I'm going to show you every time put away is used or divorce is used, referring to a marriage or an engagement, it always means we are done. Not temporarily. You get out of my house, woman. You got to go. So he was trying to break the engagement. In fact, look how it reads in the GNB Bible. That stands for Good News Bible. Matthew 1:19. Joseph was a man who always did what was right. But he did not want to disgrace Mary publicly. Why is it just that every time we read this, he's doing this to protect Mary? Why does it always say that?
Because he suspected her doing something.
He suspected her doing something. And even though he suspected her, he still loved her enough not to put her on blast. Not to bring her before the elders of Israel and say, she was messing around on me. See, a lot of brothers today wouldn't do that if their fiance or their wife cheated on them and got pregnant in the process. They want everybody to know, man, that hoe cheated on me. Right? But even though he thought that, he still cared enough about her to not disgrace her publicly with what he thought she had done, which is slept with somebody else. Oh, I'm going to prove that, y'all. That's why he put her away. Remember, I'm going to prove to you that put away only is done by a man if he thinks his wife did something wrong, or if the law says his wife did something wrong. I always mean that. You can't make put away mean, oh, they just got hot and bothered. He got her pregnant before the marriage ceremony. He sent her upstate to chill till the heat blew over and then brought her back. That's nowhere in the narrative, but guess what? That's exactly what the one West Hebrews will tell you. That's what they're saying. Nowhere in the narrative. But then it says, let me read this again. This is the Good News Bible, Matthew 1:19. Joseph was a man who always did what was right, but he did not want to disgrace Mary publicly. Listen to this part. So he made plans to break the engagement privately. Notice that all the translators who actually, speak and understand Greek, all unanimously agree that when it says he wanted to put Mary away, it meant divorce her or break the engagement. In other words, I don't want to marry this woman. I don't want to consummate the marriage. I don't want anything to do with her. But because I'm a good man, which means I'm merciful, because mercy is one of the attributes of the righteous. I'm compassionate. I'm not going to make her a public example. See, at that time in Israel in the first century, the Israelites could not legally execute anybody for breaking their laws without the Romans' consent. And it's highly questionable if the Romans would have given them permission to execute Mary over this. But one thing we do know is if she wasn't executed, with the blessings of the Roman Empire, she definitely would have been disgraced in Israel and ostracized and shamed. She would have been seen as a harlot. He did not want that to happen to her. That's a lot of mercy and compassion, isn't it, Jeff? From a man who thinks a woman cheated on him.
Yeah, he's better than a lot of us.
He's better than a lot of us. But even still, they will tell you, the one West Hebrews, no, when it says he was going to put her away, he was just temporarily send her upstate. This is a legal term, bro. That's a legal term that is used when a marriage is over. You can't make it mean something else. And what we're reading about is an engaged couple. It applies, these legal terms applies to engagement and to marriages. You could put a woman away who you were engaged to if you suspected something was up. But we're not talking about adultery, because in the law, we're going to read you could put a woman away, but if you suspected or could prove, rather, that she committed adultery, it wasn't no putting away. It was putting to sleep. In other words, she got stoned. She got executed. She was killed. So when you read about putting away in the Old Testament, which we're going to read, nobody ever did it because of infidelity. No man ever put away his wife for infidelity, because the law says you don't put away your wife for infidelity. She is executed for that. But we're going to read in the law, whenever somebody put somebody away, it was because they thought something other than infidelity was bad or off about this woman. That's why they put them away. Joseph in the first century knew that he could put away Mary under a circumstance which normally would have meant she should be executed. But it tells you why he did it. He did not want to expose her to public shame. It don't say he was trying to save her life. So that lets me know that she was protected by Roman law, but she would have been disgraced as a daughter of Israel and looked upon as a harlot. Right? So now let's take a look at the first example of putting away or divorcing. And I'm going to show you that these terms are used interchangeably in the Bible, because they try to play with that. There's a difference between divorcing a woman and putting her away. Shut up. They're used interchangeably, bro. Sometimes they mention both of them together to just emphasize that when a divorce is over, the woman leaves. But when it just says put away by itself pertaining to a marriage, it means divorce, dude. It means you're divorcing her. Let's not play games. But now let's go to Deuteronomy 24, because I got to prove to y'all, every time a man put away a woman, it was always because the man thought she was at fault. She had did something bad. Not adultery, just something else that the man did not like. Every single time. Let's go to Deuteronomy 24:1. You cannot make a legal term mean something else. You do understand, Jeff, that when you try to make a legal term mean something else, that's the same thing as trying to change God's law.
That's right.
Because legal terms come from God's law. They are stated in God's law. So when the one West Hebrews try to make put her away mean, just simply send her down the river somewhere until the heat blows over, you are changing the definition of put away in its legal sense. Because it's used outside of its legal sense. But in its legal sense, as it pertains to marriage, it always means, I'm done with this woman. We getting a divorce. That's what it always means. Or we're breaking off the engagement. I'm breaking it off. It always means that. It always means, to make it even plainer, it always means the woman did something bad. except for adultery. You know, in the old times. It always means they did something bad except for adultery. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1. We're going to read that one verse. And let me show y'all something. See, when I heard that debate last night, and I'm just asking the same question over and over in the chat room, why did Joseph want to put away Mary? They just ignored me. Why would Joseph want to put away Mary? A legal term meaning divorce. We looked it up in the Greek, and we read it in other translations. It means divorce. It means we're breaking off the engagement. It means I don't want to marry you. Why in the world would Joseph break off the engagement when he's the one that impregnated her? Does that make any sense to any of y'all on this stage? Let's keep it a buck.
It doesn't make any sense. And don't they teach that sex is marriage?
Yes.
So if that's with her, then you're automatically married anyway?
Yeah, they teach that too. So at the very worst, he fast forward their engagement. He jumped straight to marriage, according to them. But why would the narrative keep telling you only she would bear the shame? She gets pregnant. Everybody knows and sees that she got a big protruding belly. She tells them, oh, Joseph got me pregnant. They try to make you think, oh, he was trying to hide that to avoid his own shame. It does not say that. He was trying to protect her from shame. It doesn't say them. Y'all making it say them. It says her. He was good. But this is Deuteronomy 24. We're going to read one verse, verse 1. Let me get that with you, Jeff. Okay, Deuteronomy 24 and 1. Go ahead and read, Jeff.
Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house.
Notice that what accompanies a bill or a writing of divorcement is her being sent from his house. Just a little sidebar for all of y'all women who think when you divorce a man, you're supposed to keep the house. Every time I read in the Bible when a man divorced a woman, he kicked her out. I ain't never read about him being sent away. I just wanted to bring that out for any sisters who are in the Word, because I know how the worldly sisters think. But if you are in the world, if he don't want to give you the house, don't try to get it. You know, unless it was your house to begin with, then, yeah, you know, no, he ain't keeping this brother's mine. But if he moved you in with him, or if y'all got it together, you need to be ready to leave, because he sends you away. That's what happens. I just want to just point that out. I just find that funny that, you know, people always get into these arguments about who's going to get the house. I'm talking about believers. And every time you read about a divorce happening, the woman is the one that's sent away. I just want to throw that out there. But that's not even my point. The point is, it says, when a man have taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her. What do you think it means when it says he have found some uncleanness in her? Jeff, what do you think that means?
She fornicated or committed adultery.
Wrong. Nope, don't mean that. Remember, what happens if a woman commits adultery on her husband? What does the law say is supposed to happen to her? That's not a put-away situation. That's a put-to-death situation.
So you talking about suspected something?
Nope. It's not even talking about suspecting adultery. This law has nothing to do with infidelity at all. It just means, and I'm going to prove to you, and you can read this in several translations, it's deliberately vague. I'm going to prove that to y'all. If you read it in other translations, it'll say something like, if he found some kind of indecency in her. But what's the indecency? Or if he no longer favors her. It's very vague.
Anything he likes or dislikes.
Anything he dislikes. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you, we're going to look at the history, and I'm going to show you how they interpret it. But the point is, this is the law, and this law was addressed later when Jesus was talking to the Pharisees. We're going to get there. But this is the law that basically stated that a man could divorce and put away his wife for any reason, but it had to be something he had a problem with. It had to be something bad. I'm taking y'all here to show you that this is just more proof that every time you put away your wife, it had to be for something you didn't like. But in the law, it can't be for adultery, because if she commit adultery, she don't get put away, she get put to death. This is a law that talks about what happens if your husband just come home one day and just say, I don't like whatever. I think you gain weight. You gain too much weight. I don't like the way you cook. It has to be something, though, that he doesn't like, something that he feels is a fault of yours. But the point is, this is the first time you read specifically about putting away. And we know this refers to put away because when we read later in Matthew 19, they describe this law as putting away. So putting away. You understand what I'm saying? Putting away, right? But let me show you what it means when it talks about any form of uncleanliness. Because like I said, y'all can pull up, anybody right now, pull up any alternate translation of Deuteronomy 24:1. And when you get it, read it. Right across the mic. It's very vague. It never specifically states what it has to be. It can say if he finds her disgraceful. What's disgraceful? That's subjective. What's disgraceful to Jeff might not be disgraceful to me. But let me show you how I know that this was deliberately vague, and it basically was saying any reason. That's why in Matthew 19 they asked Jesus, did he agree with that? But first, we're going to go to Josephus. We're going to go to the New Complete Works of Josephus, translated by William Whiston, and commentary by Paul L. Meyer. Right? This is the New Complete Works of Josephus. Josephus was a Hebrew that lived in the 1st century, and he was a Pharisee. And he was an expert on both the law of Moses and Pharisaic law, which is in the New Testament called the traditions of the elders. Right? What we're going to do is we're going to go to Antiquities 4.8.23, paragraph 253, and we're going to read his interpretation of what we just read in Deuteronomy 24:1, which coincides with how the Pharisees were coming at Jesus in the New Testament about this exact law. But it was a law about putting away. Again, this is Antiquities 4.8.23, paragraph 253. I don't know if you have a Josephus, Jeff. If you don't, I'll read it.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You said
Antiquities. Antiquities. That paragraph is Antiquities 4.8.23. The chapter is 8. The book, okay, book 4, chapter 8.
4.8.23.253, right?
There you go.
Okay, brother. All right, let me get this straight. Antiquities, book 4, chapter 8, 23.253.
There you go. See if you can get it.
All right. He that desires to be divorced from his wife for any cause whatsoever, and any such causes happen upon men, let him in writing give assurance that he will never use her as his wife anymore.
Look at that. This is the same law he's referring to in Deuteronomy 24:1. But notice that it reads very similar to how the Pharisees asked about this law. So this law is saying for any cause. That's all this law means. It says some kind of uncleanness in her. That means whatever he don't like. Not adultery, though. Not infidelity. Anything outside of that. Look what it says. I'm going to read it to you again. It says, he that desires to be divorced from his wife for any cause whatsoever, and many such causes happen among men. In other words, he doubled down. There's a lot of reasons to want to get rid of it, too. That's what he said, right? let him in writing give assurance that he will never use her as his wife anymore. That's the law that says that, if she marries somebody else and then she divorces him, she can't go back to her first husband. Even if the guy dies that she married after her first husband, she still can't go back to her first husband. But notice that Josephus and the New Testament Pharisees agree that this law is basically saying you can put away your wife for any reason. And Jesus came along later and showed why Moses allowed that. We're going to read that later. But my point is, every time you read about a man divorcing his wife, which means to put her away, we're going to prove that, same thing, it was always because of something he felt the woman did wrong. So if the New Testament uses the legal terminology concerning marriage, put away, when it describes what Joseph was planning to do to Mary, then according to Hebrew law and culture, that means that Joseph believed Mary had done something wrong. Now the question to all my One West Hebrews who swear they know the law but really don't, why did Joseph want to put Mary away, which according to the law means she did something bad? What bad thing did he think she had done? They can't answer that question because they don't know that put away, when referring to a marriage, is a legal term, meaning the man has found some fault with this woman and he wants to end the marriage or the engagement. But what do they do, Jeff? They deceitfully or ignorantly twist put away to no longer have its legal implications and just make it mean, oh, he just wanted to just send her up the creek for a while. That's not what that means. That means he had a problem with something she did. That's what put away always means. I think she did something wrong. The law of Moses thinks something is wrong with her. That's when you put away your wife. That's when you divorce your wife in ancient times in Israel. If your wife cheated on you in ancient Israel, she was executed. She was stoned, and the guy she cheated on you with. They were stoned. Don't confuse the put away law with the infidelity law. Infidelity law, your wife committed adultery on you with another man. Both her and the man get stoned. Put away law, just whatever reason you found fault with her, whatever you felt was wrong. Other than adultery, you put her away. That's the put away law. That's the law they were asking Jesus about. Put away law, divorce law. And Josephus lets you know, notice he words it exactly the way the Pharisees worded it in Matthew, because Josephus was a Pharisee. Moses literally had a law that stated a man could divorce a woman for any reason he saw fit. But it had to be something bad that he had. Like, he can't say, I want to divorce this woman because she's too beautiful. It had to be something like, well, maybe even then, because he probably oh, that was a bad thing. But it had to be something that he felt was bad, right, or wrong, or indecent, or shameful about this woman. And Josephus let you know they were coming up with all kinds of things. So if Joseph wanted to put away Mary, it can only mean he thought she had done something wrong. Then you got to ask yourself, what did he think she did wrong? Because that's the only time a man put away his wife. I'm going to show y'all that over and over again. In fact, I challenge anybody when this class is over to show me one example of a man putting away his wife and it had nothing to do with something he thought was wrong with her or something bad about her. I challenge any one West Hebrew to do that who believe that Joseph is the biological father of Jesus. Show me one place where a put away wife did not have anything to do with the man thinking the wife had done something bad or wrong. Put away always meant this man thought she did something wrong or he had a problem with something about her. Always mean that. So why when we get to the New Testament, all of a sudden put away just simply means, no, I'm just going to just hide you away for a while. Because I slept with you and I got you pregnant. So now put away don't mean trying to end a marriage contract or an engagement. Now it means just sitting there to hide somewhere. I heard Captain Tazaryach say that.
Right, and I know you mentioned this a couple of times. This is another classic example of you can start at the beginning of the scriptures and then there's a pattern. But somehow when you get to the New Testament, then everything just changes and everybody makes up their own doctrine.
Exactly.
Instead of following that pattern.
Exactly. And this is a legal term. If it pertains to a marriage or an engagement, sisters and brothers, and it says put away, that means the man ending the marriage or the engagement on the grounds that he thinks the woman did something wrong. It always means that. It never means anything other than that. And I'm going to prove that to y'all. In the Old Testament, in the New Testament, and guess what, Jeff? Even in the Apocrypha. And they love the Apocrypha. I'm showing y'all what these terms mean and how they were used. I just showed you in history. Old Testament, New Testament, Apocrypha, and history. This is what we bring to the table. What do they bring to the table? Well, you know, it means they just got hot and bothered. They just couldn't wait. And he got her pregnant before the wedding ceremony. And he tried to hide her away. None of that is in the narrative. Bro, just look at what put away means. And see whenever a Hebrew man wanted to put away his wife, it's always something bad that the wife did or that he thought she did. Y'all supposed to be Israelites. Y'all supposed to know the law. Y'all don't know the law. Y'all know the law of y'all camp. Y'all know camp laws, but y'all don't know the law of Moses. Because if you did, you would know that if Joseph wanted to put away Mary, it's because he suspected she had done something wrong. You should know that just from the put away. We shouldn't even have to get all into prophecy and who's the Messiah going to come from. We ain't even got to get into all of that. Just, you're supposed to already know what put away means and why a man would put away his wife. If you know that, then you know there's no way this man thought that was his baby. Because that's the only thing in faith happened before he said he wanted to put her away. She got pregnant, and now he don't want nothing to do with her. Common sense. That's common sense. Something happened to her, now he don't want her anymore. And the only thing in faith that happened before he said he wanted to put her away is that she got pregnant. Now, why in the world, Jeff, would he want to put her away for getting pregnant by him?
That makes no sense.
That makes no sense at all. Unless you try to make put away mean something else. So now you're changing the law. Now you're changing the legal meaning of put away when it pertains to a marriage or an engagement. It means the marriage or the engagement is off. And if you try to be slick and try to say, well, he was trying to call off the marriage engagement after he got her pregnant. Well, that goes against what the narrative says Joseph's character is. It said he was a righteous man. A righteous man would not impregnate a woman and then get rid of her. Do y'all even know what righteous means? That's not righteous. It even said he did what he did because he was righteous. So let me get something straight, Jeff. The narrative calls him righteous because he impregnated a woman and then said he didn't want to be with her no more. That's y'all definition of righteous? Y'all know that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. You don't even got to know exactly what she did. All you really need to know is that if a text say a man wanted to put away his wife, it's because he felt or even came up with some contrived reason to say she ain't fit no more. Just any excuse would do. Right? But now, let's move on. Let's go to Ezra chapter 9. Ezra chapter 9. Because there's too many willfully stupid people on this app. Not inherently stupid, willfully stupid. That's why I titled this class, Why Did Joseph Want to Put Away Mary? Why did any man ever want to put away his wife in ancient Israel? Because they had some kind of thought with her. It could be legitimate, or it could be something they just came up with, but they still made it like it was a fault, like she was the problem. You can't read nowhere where a man say, I want to put away my wife because I messed up or something's wrong with me. They always did it if it was something wrong with the woman, whether it was legitimate or something they contrived. But when you get to Joseph, all of a sudden, put away, don't mean that no more, Jeff. The legal ramifications that comes with that term as it pertains to marriage, they change all that around. And you ignorant one West Hebrew fools just sop it up with a biscuit. Now y'all want to play like y'all don't know what put away means, when I know y'all do. I've heard them use this terminology, Jeff. I've heard brothers, I've been around a long time. I don't heard one West camps and regular Hebrew camps use put away. They know what put away means. Ask any one of them, y'all think I'm lying. Ask any one of them just randomly in the room, what does it mean to put away your wife? That means you divorcing her, man. You done with her. You kicking her to the curb. Except in Matthew chapter 1, though, right? See, that was the games they played. And you know what's so crazy, Jeff? Every time before Matthew chapter 1, I'm going to show y'all this because now we're before Matthew. Every time before and every time after, it always means kicking the wife to the curb. So why is Matthew 1 and 19 the one exception? Because that's where y'all doctrine lies. Even though the definition of the Greek word means divorce or end the engagement. Even though every other translation of this verse all lets you know it means divorce or end the engagement. Even though every other time this terminology is used before that, it means divorce or end the engagement. Even though every other time after that means divorce or break the engagement. Matthew 1 and 19 is the one exception. And that doesn't make any one of y'all suspicious of these guys? It doesn't make y'all raise an eyebrow at any of these guys? Do y'all love these teachers and leaders and captains and generals so much that you don't even believe what you can plainly see for yourself? Are you that brain dead? Are you that delusional? And if you are, and you know that's what's going on, don't you think you owe it to everybody else to at least sit down, because you're clearly not fit to lead and try to teach anybody anything? See, if I knew I had that kind of blind dedication, my integrity would not let me be out here trying to show y'all nothing. I'd still be blindly following them, but I wouldn't be out here doing it because I know in my heart it's some bull. But what do? They know it's some bull, and they go out and they share it. You know this is poison, but you're going to share it with your family and friends. That's why I do got some kind of respect for parents that do drugs, but they try to keep it hidden from their children because they don't want their children to imitate it. What do y'all do? Y'all hit that crack pipe, see your little 3-year-old walking up. You want to hit? You don't care. You know it's wrong. You know it's bad for you, but you're going to just share it with the kids anyway. They know this stuff, Jeff. But this is Ezra chapter 9. This is talking about when after the Babylonian captivity, the men of Israel, especially the priests, took foreign wives, right? Watch what it says. We're going to read Ezra 9, 1-3. When you get there, Jeff, go ahead and read, please.
Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites.
So what was the problem here? It says the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites. So the priests, when it separates it like that, that means the sons of Aaron. Those are your high priests. And the Levites, that just means anybody who's a descendant of Levi, right? Have not separated themselves from the people of the land, doing according to their abominations. That means serving their pagan gods and any other vile things they were doing, right? And it says, even the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. They were doing all this paganism and vile customs of all of these pagan nations, right? But what was causing them to do it? Continue. It's going to let you know.
Verse 2. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass.
So what made the children of Israel do according to the abomination of these nations? Mixing, intermingling with them, marrying them. God did not have a problem with the nations in of itself. It was their pagan and abominable customs that was influencing Israel through matrimony that God had a problem with. That's why he told Israel not to mess with them in the first place. They were unbelievers. But what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Read verse 3, and then we're going to go somewhere else. Read that.
Verse 3. And when I heard this thing, I rent my garment and my mantle, and plucked off the hair of my head and of my beard, and sat down astonished.
This is what Ezra said he did. When he heard this thing, I rent my garment, meaning I tore my clothes and my mantle, which is like a scarf, right? And plucked off the hair of my head and my beard, and sat down astonished. That was a custom that they had in the ancient world. If something very horrible happened or you witnessed something very horrible, you just rip your clothes. You might even throw some ashes on you. You might even rip your own hair out. That's how astonished he was. Because keep in mind, they just had come out of 70 years of captivity to the Babylonians because of this same stuff, among other things. So Ezra was like, oh man, here we go again. But let's go over to chapter 10 and let's see the solution that Ezra is going to propose. Chapter 10, one chapter over. We're just learning about why men in ancient Israel put away their wives. It's always something that they felt the wife did wrong or that the law said they did wrong. Always. Never something that they personally did wrong in of themselves. It's something wrong with what they married, right? Now, they were wrong for intermingling with these pagan nations. But watch this, though. This is Ezra chapter 10, verses 1 to 5. Read that.
Ezra chapter 10, verse 1. Now when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping and casting himself down for the house of God, there assembled unto him Israel, a very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore.
So it says, now when Ezra, and you're breaking up a little bit, Jeff, try leaving and coming right back. That should fix you up. It said, now when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping and casting himself down before the house of God, there assembled unto him out of Israel a very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore. They are weeping very sore because of this great sin the children of Israel had committed by intermingling with these pagan nations and being influenced by their abominations. Is Jeff back yet? Anybody?
Yeah, I'm back, brother.
Okay, my stupid phone is so slow I had to refresh. There we go. Right? Okay, go ahead. Read verse 2.
Ezra chapter 2. Am I still breaking up? I hear an echo.
You sound good to me.
Okay. Ezra chapter 2, verse 2.
I hear an echo too. Echoing through next to you. Yeah, it's coming through, Josh.
I'm muted. I have muted myself. Let's try it again. Go ahead.
Ezra chapter 10, verse 2. And Shechaniah, the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, answered and said unto Ezra, we have trespassed against our God, and have taken strange wives of the people of the land. Yet now there is hope in Israel concerning this thing.
Now, look what it says. We have trespassed, that means sinned, against our God and have taken strange wives, foreign wives, non-Israelite wives, of the people of the land. Yet now there is hope in Israel concerning this thing. So he's letting them know there's still hope concerning this thing. What do we have to do? Go ahead and read.
Verse 3. Now therefore, let us make a covenant with our God to put away all the wives, and such as are born of them, according to the counsel of my Lord, and of those that tremble at the commandment of our God, and let it be done according to the law.
Notice what it said. Now therefore, this is the solution they came up with. Let us make a covenant with our God to do what? Put away all the wives and such as are born to them. Remember, I just told y'all and been telling y'all over and over again, the only time men in ancient Israel put away their wives if something was wrong with them, either the men themselves came up with a reason or the law had a problem with them. In this case right here, Jeff, what is wrong with these women that got them put away?
They're from foreign nations and they practice false worship.
Exactly. Like I told y'all, every time you read about a man putting away a woman, it's some kind of fault with the woman. In this case, they were pagan worshipers, and they were teaching the men of Israel their abominable ways. Every single time you read about it, it's always something the woman did, or some kind of fault they have with the woman, or some kind of disappointment they have with the woman. It's always on the woman when a man wanted to put her away. Every time. That's the legal use of the word. I'm divorcing her. I'm getting rid of her because something about her is bad. You can't read anywhere in the Bible where a man put away a woman for any other reason than thinking she done something bad or there was something bad about her. You can't read that. So if Joseph was planning to put away Mary, then he did it for the same reason the law and his Hebrew forefathers always did it. He thought she had done something wrong, or he thought something was wrong about her. And the only thing it states in Matthew chapter 1 that we can read about Mary right before it's stated in the very next verse, in verse 19, that he planned to put her away, is that she got pregnant. What's wrong about her getting pregnant if he's the father? Y'all see how stupid these One West Hebrews argument and belief system is. 550 plus people in that room last night on YouTube when they had that debate. And 95% of them were One West Hebrews and just giving Captain Tazaryach all his flowers. Shout out to him. But not a single.
199.
That's what it got up to eventually?
199.
That's what it eventually got up to?
Yes, sir.
Right. That's what it was when I left out. So it dang near doubled. All these people praising this man, and can't not a single one of them explain from the scriptures why Joseph wanted to put Mary away. Because one thing we can all agree on is that you never put away your wife unless you think she did something bad. And if you disagree with that, show me anywhere in the scriptures where a man ever put away his wife for any reason other than something that he thought was wrong with her or that the law said was wrong with her. Show me. You can't. Because legally, that's the only time a man put away his wife. So if Joseph put away Mary or was planning to do it, that means he thought she had done something wrong. Not them, not him, her and her alone. What is wrong with y'all? I know y'all can see that. Yes, men in ancient Israel were putting away their wives for any reason, but it was always something that they came up with that they had a problem with. One no man saying, man, I'm just going to put away my wife because, I just want somebody else. But then again, who knows, man? Israel judges that got so corrupt, they probably even accepted that explanation, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Josephus did say any reason. He didn't say any logical reason. He just said any reason. It didn't even have to make sense, right? But watch this, though. Where'd you stop at?
Verse 4.
Continue, please.
Ezra chapter 2, verse 4. Arise, for this matter belongeth unto thee. We also will be with thee. Be of good courage and do it.
Continue.
Then arose Ezra and made the chief priests, the Levites, and all Israel to swear that they should do according to this word. And they swear.
And they were swearing that they were swearing that they would put away their strange wives. But you only put away when there's something bad about the woman. That's the only time you put away. Every time you read it in the law, in action, it's always something bad about the woman. Whether it was contrived or for real, it was something bad about the woman. In this case, pagan women influencing Israelite men with their abominations. But skip, please, Jeff, if you will, down to verse 9. And we're going to read verses 9 to 12 to further drive this home. Go ahead and read.
Ezra chapter 8, verse 9. Then all the men of Judah and Benjamin gathered themselves together unto Jerusalem within 3 days. It was the 9th month, on the 20th day of the month, and all the people sat in the street of the house of God, trembling because of this matter and for the great rain. And
this matter was them putting away these pagan wives. Continue.
Verse 10. And Ezra the priest stood up and said unto them, Ye have transgressed and have taken strange wives to increase the trespass.
So he's letting them know, just reminding them once again what you have done. Continue.
Verse 11. Now therefore, make confession unto the Lord God of your fathers, and do his pleasure, and separate yourselves from the people of the land and from the strange wives.
Now look what he said. Now therefore, make confession unto the Lord God of your fathers, and do his pleasure, and separate yourselves from the people of the land and from the strange wives. In other words, put away these strange wives. And this is going to actually use put away again, the term, the actual wording, right? Skip down, Jeff, and read verses 15 to 19.
You want me to do verse 12, Josh?
Oh, I thought you had already read it. Yeah, read verse 12.
Verse 12. Then all the congregation answered and said with a loud voice, As thou hast said, so must we do.
So they agreed to do that. Now skip down and read verses 15 to 19, please.
Ezra chapter 10, verse 15. Only Jonathan, the son of Asahel, and Jahaziah, the son of Tikvah, were employed about this matter, and Meshullam and Shabbatai the Levite helped them.
Continue, please.
And the children of the captivity did so. And Ezra the priest, with certain chief of the fathers, after the house of their fathers, and all of them by their names, were separated, and sat down at the first day of the 10th month to examine the matter.
Okay, continue.
And they made an end with all the men that had taken strange wives on the first day of the first month.
And it says, and they made an end with all the men that had taken strange wives by the first day of the first month. Because if you read this whole chapter, they told Ezra that we're going to need time to put away all these strange wives, because a lot of us have done it, right? So it's letting you know by the first day of the first month, all of the people that came, like they did it like in sessions, right? They had made an end with all the men that had taken strange wives by the first day of the first month. In other words, all those men had put away their strange wives. But continue reading, please.
Verse 18, and among the sons of the priests there were found that had taken strange wives, namely of the sons of Jeshua, the son of Josadak, and his brethren Mattasiah, and Eliezer, and Jared, and Gedaliah.
Now it's telling you specifically among the priests who had taken strange wives, right? Read the next verse.
Verse 19, and they gave their hands that they would put away their wives, and being guilty, they offered the ram of the flock for their trespass.
Again, it says, and they gave their hands, that means, they swore, that they would put away their wives. Put away. Divorce. That's what that means. Their wives, and being guilty, they offered a ram of the flock for their trespass. Again, Jeff, every time we read about somebody putting away their wife, it's because something was wrong with the woman. Or they found some fault with the woman. You can never read where a man put away his wife because something was wrong with him or them. They always did it because they claimed something was wrong with the woman. Or the law specifically said, this is not a woman you're allowed to be with. But there's always some kind of fault with the woman. So how is it, Jeff, when we get to the New Testament, the one where Hebrews are telling you that Joseph wanted to put away Mary because of something they did, when it always meant something was wrong with the woman? Do y'all understand how stupid that is? That's really stupid. Y'all are just making stuff up to try to hold on to your false doctrine that is crumbling. Y'all know good and well there's no reason for Joseph to put away Mary unless, based on Hebrew law and culture, he thought she had done something wrong. What could that have possibly been? I don't know. The very first thing it said, what happened to her right before it said he wanted to put her away. That's how you know. Something goes on with Mary. Now Joseph saying, I don't want her no more. What does it say happened to her in Matthew 1:18? She was found with child of the Holy Ghost. What does it say in verse 19? Joseph don't want her anymore. That means he thought something was wrong with the pregnancy. He had a problem with the pregnancy, y'all. Why would he have a problem with the pregnancy if he's the father? You get a woman pregnant and then you want to break off the engagement? And the narrative says you're a righteous man? Are y'all that spiritually bankrupt, West Hebrews, that you don't even know what righteousness is? You mean to tell me if one of y'all's daughters in the faith was messing with another Israelite man in the faith, and, they just couldn't wait, and he ended up getting her pregnant, and he came to you and said, I don't got your daughter pregnant. I don't want nothing else to do with her. You're going to call him righteous? Y'all wouldn't call that righteous. Y'all would probably gang beat that dude down. But that's what y'all saying that Joseph did. And yet the narrative says he was righteous. See, that's how I know that there's a demon operating in that belief system, because a demon would have you all twisted and upside down like that with your logic. You ain't going to tell me a righteous man is going to impregnate a woman and then try to call off the engagement. But a righteous man who's engaged to a woman would call off an engagement if he thinks she stepped out on him during the engagement and got a baby. Which one makes more logical sense if we just keeping it real? He wanted to put her away because he thought she did something wrong. He had some kind of fault with her. That's why they always put away women in ancient Israel. That's the legal term. That's the legal implication. Y'all don't know the law. Y'all claim y'all the chosen. Y'all claim God only care about y'all. He only gave the law to y'all. Well, if he only gave the law to y'all, y'all ain't reading it. You don't even know why a man would put away a wife. Why would a man put away his wife? Ask any of them that. Why? Not why would a man get his wife stoned. Why would he put her away? That means he got some kind of problem with her. And that's what Joseph was doing. He had some kind of problem with Mary. And if you can't think of any problem he could have had, just read the very verse before it said he wanted to put her away. Before that, it says Mary got pregnant by the Holy Spirit. That's the reason why he wanted to put her away. So now y'all going to start saying that Joseph is the Holy Spirit? That's still stupid because you're still saying that he wanted to put her away because he got her pregnant. So you're still saying that. We back to square one. Y'all got to stop this. All you got to do, just ask them, why did Joseph want to put Mary away? And don't accept any of their baloney explanations that's not in the narrative. They don't even know why a man puts away a woman in ancient Israel. It's always because something's wrong with the woman, y'all. Every single time. I'm going to prove that to y'all. Let's go to Genesis. Yes, I'm taking y'all back to Genesis. Genesis, God? Yes. You going to show us put away in Genesis? Yes. Yes, I am. And I'm going to show you still something wrong with the woman. So in the very first book, Jeff, of the Bible, I'm going to show y'all that put away was always something that the woman did or some kind of fault they had with the woman. And we read this last week, what we're about to read here. But we're going to get something else out of it. So that's why I like the Bible. You can go to one verse one week and break something down and then go to the exact same verses the next week and teach a whole different class pertaining to those verses. This is Genesis chapter 16, 1-3. Let's read this first. Just to give some context, we're reading about Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, even though at this time I think he was still known as Abram. Genesis chapter 16, 1-3. Go ahead and read.
Genesis chapter 16, verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children. And she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar.
See, Sarah was barren. She could not have any children, but she did have a handmaid, which means a female slave or a female servant named Hagar. Watch what she suggests. Watch what Sarah suggests. Go ahead.
And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go into my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
So she wanted Hagar to be a surrogate mother for her. So she told her husband Abram, sleep with my handmaid, and I'll get a child through her. And Abram did what she told him to do. But watch what it says in verse 3. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife.
And she gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. So now Abraham got two wives at this point. So Hagar is his wife, right? Do everybody on the stage agree with that? Y'all come off your mic. Do everybody agree with that? Everybody? Keanu, okay, that's his wife. Mama Tell, Ariel?
Yeah.
Trilla? Okay. That's his wife, right? Israelites ain't got no problem with this. This is polygyny. You know they ain't got a problem with this. Okay, but now that we understand that, let me show you something else. Go right over to Genesis chapter 21. And this is the one we read last week. Genesis 21, and y'all going to see something very significant about these events. So y'all can see for yourself. You can't play with no terms like put away and make it mean what you want it to mean. No, man, that means a man is is ending a marriage or ending an engagement with a woman for something he had a problem with her doing or being. It always meant that. So to take every time, just a quick tip, every time you read about a man putting away a woman in the Bible, even before you find out specifically what the reason is, you already know. If it says he put her away, you know it's either a legitimate fault he had with her or some old made-up mess fault that he had with her. But whatever the case, it's always on her. Never forget that. It's always on her. Every single time. We're reading Genesis 21. We're going to read verses 8 to 10. When you get there, Jeff, go ahead.
Genesis chapter 21, verse 8. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned.
So this is when Isaac was born and was weaned, and it says that Abraham made a great feast. Right? Go ahead.
And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking.
And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, Abraham's second wife, the Egyptian. So Sarah saw the son of Hagar, Ishmael. That's what we're talking about. Which she had born unto Abraham, mocking. So he's making fun of little Isaac. This is his older half-brother by like 13 years. So he's making fun of his baby brother, right? And Sarah, Isaac's mother, saw that, right? Now, watch what happens. Go ahead and read.
Verse 10. Wherefore, she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
But wait a minute, Jeff, and everybody else on the stage. Didn't we just read that Hagar was also Abraham's wife? Did we read that? So if Sarah is telling Abraham to cast out Hagar, what is she telling Abraham to do to Hagar?
Get rid of her.
But what's another word? Put her away. But what's another word? Begins with a D.
Divorce.
Divorce her. Bro, that's just not my opinion. That's just not my speculation. How about I prove to y'all that that's exactly what happened? That she was telling Abraham, and y'all know the rest of the story, God said, listen to her. How about I prove to y'all that she was telling Abraham, divorce this woman and kick her out? Right? But before we even do that, Jeff, let me ask everybody on the stage a question. Remember how I always said whenever a man put away a woman, his wife, it always had to be because of some fault with the woman. Jeff, what was the fault with Hagar? What did she do?
It was her son that Sarah had an issue with.
Right. So why did she say get rid of Hagar too? Why do you think? It doesn't say, but why do you think?
Because she was raising him and teaching him.
Yes. Yes.
I think a little of her.
Yes. It even told you that when Hagar first had Ishmael. Matter of fact, let me show y'all something. We're gonna take a look. We're gonna get back to this, but let me show y'all something. I want y'all to pay attention to stuff that the Bible be telling us, right? And sometimes we pay attention, and sometimes we don't, right? Sometimes. But I want y'all to understand that if you're really paying attention, you'll see some stuff that's going on, and you can kind of put together the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go to Genesis 16:4. Go there for me, Jeff. This is talking about, when they got the baby. Right? I'm just going to throw this in here. Read Genesis 16:4. This is after what we just read in Genesis 16:3. Right? She told Abraham to marry to marry Hagar and get a baby that way. Now read verse 4. Genesis 16:4. Read that.
Genesis chapter 16, verse 4. And he went in unto Hagar. Hey, Josh, you got to put the mic
okay, hold on. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
Now it says, and he went in unto Hagar, meaning he had sex with Hagar, and she conceived, got pregnant. And when Hagar, saw that she had conceived, her mistress, which means her female master, was despised in her eyes. So Hagar, after she got that baby, Abraham began to hate Sarah. But let me show y'all how this reads in other translations so y'all can see Josh ain't just making stuff up. This is the easy to read version, Genesis 16:4. Pay attention, sisters. Who thinking about that polygyny stuff. Look what it says. Abram slept with Hagar and she became pregnant. When Hagar realized this, she became very proud and began to feel that she was better than Sarah, her owner. Wow. Y'all think Sarah didn't pick up on any of that? Remember, Ishmael was 13 years old when Sarah told Abraham to kick out Hagar and him. But let me show you how this reads in another translation. It's the ESV, English Standard Version, Genesis 16:4. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. That means she did not like her. She looked down on her. Right? She was not feeling her anymore. But notice it don't say anything about any bad blood between them until she got that baby. Right? This is how I read in the Good News Bible. Genesis 16:4. Abram had intercourse with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When she found out that she was pregnant, she became proud and despised Sarah. So now let's fast forward back again to Genesis 21 and read verse 10 again. I just want to give y'all a little background. Y'all know she noticed this. Y'all know Sarah noticed that Hagar was walking around hating her and thinking she's better. I got his baby. You couldn't even give him a baby. Oh, I know how these women be thinking. That's what y'all want to get into that with that polygyny? Be my guest, sisters. See, y'all don't understand that, man. Women, they can be something else. I done dated women before that just because I had a baby mama, they wanted me to give them a baby. Just because I had a baby mama. Because they don't feel like they're equal or better than your ex unless they got something that she has too or something she don't got. That's how the female mind is. And I tell people all the time, not going to tell you, I never get mad at a woman for thinking like a woman or for being a woman. I never do that. I get mad at brothers for not realizing they're dealing with women who acting like women. And it's something in women that if they dealing with a dude and he already got a baby, and it's not all women. Y'all know I ain't speaking in generals. But in a lot of women, if they get with a guy who's still, by the way, young enough to be trying to get a baby, and they really feeling him and he got a baby by like a baby mama or by an ex or whatever, she want a baby too because she want a baby to match something. And that's what Hagar was doing. Hagar got real big at it. I got his baby. Right? Y'all don't think Sarah was picking up on any of them negative vibes? Like Judith said, she thought that Ishmael's attitude was being taught by his mother. Now read verse 10 again, please, Jeff.
Genesis chapter 21, verse 10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
Now, as I told y'all before, whenever a man put away, and I'm still going to prove to y'all that cast out means put away or divorce. I'm going to show y'all that in this verse. But as I told y'all before, whenever a man put away a woman in the scriptures, it was always because of some fault with the woman. In this case, Jeff, and Judith already gave you the answer, why did Abraham put away Hagar?
Because Sarah felt that Hagar thought she was better than her. Now you have to see Sarah felt a little jealous, and so she put away the Abraham.
Right, and don't forget about Ishmael. And she thought, Judith gave the answer, and she thought that Ishmael's mocking attitude and contempt came from his mother.
Got it.
That's why she threw Hagar in there with it too. I've been dealing with this bee for 13 years. You know, since she had the baby, because, you know, she was a handmaid before even that. We don't know how long, right? But for 13 years, I've been having to deal with this bee. Y'all know how y'all wouldn't be thinking. I ain't saying nothing that y'all don't be thinking. I'm just saying out loud what a lot of y'all probably were thinking the whole time. You ain't got to tell me in the chat. You ain't got to DM me. You ain't got to text me. But y'all know that Josh knows how you're feeling if you was in that situation. Y'all know that Josh knows. Just know that Josh understands. That's all y'all need to know, that Josh understands. I ain't got nothing against y'all. Just know that Josh understands. Right? Let me prove to y'all, when y'all read this, that that's what that means. What we're going to do is look up the word translated cast out in this verse, right? And that's 1644 in the Hebrew section of the Strong's Exalted Concordance. The word translated cast out. So y'all can see I'm not just guessing stuff. I'm going to prove it to y'all. Translated cast out. 1644 in the Hebrew section of the Strong's Exalted Concordance. And the word is garash. Garash. It says a primitive root to drive out from a possession. In a general sense, y'all, that's all the word means, just to drive out. It's used several times in like Exodus and Deuteronomy when it talks about the children of Israel driving out the Canaanites. It's like the word put away in a general sense just means to send somebody away. But when it pertains to a marriage, and I'm going to show y'all this, it is a primitive root to drive out from a possession, especially to expatriate or divorce. Hold up. It can also mean divorce. In what context can it ever mean divorce? If it happens between a man and a woman. If a man is driving out the woman in a marriage, then it means divorce. So Sarah was telling Abraham to divorce Hagar, and she was his wife. But look what else it means. Cast up, divorced, or divorced woman. The word literally can be translated, and I'm going to prove it to y'all, divorced woman. That's the Hebrew word for divorced woman, or a woman that has been divorced, garash. Right? I'm going to prove it. Drive away, forth, out, expel, surely, put away. Wait a minute, Jeff. It can also be translated put away. Trouble, thrust out. So Abraham's wife was telling him, divorce that bondwoman. Put away that bondwoman. But if you're still not convinced, I have something on eThor called the Treasury of Scriptural Knowledge. This is a reference book. Look what it says for Genesis 21:10 and the Hebrew word rendered cast out. It said the word rendered cast out signifies also to divorce. Then it says, in this latter sense, it may be understood here. So even the reference is saying it may be understood as divorce, but we know it means divorce based on everything we've been reading before this. It's a married man kicking out his wife. In ancient Israel, when you divorced a woman, you kicked her out. You sent her away from your home. They were all living together. And he was done with Hagar after that. It doesn't mention him hooking back up with Hagar again after that. So he divorced this woman. That's what Abraham did at the suggestion of his first wife, Sarah, and God, because God said, listen to her. But what was the reason why he put her away, Jeff? Remember, it always got to be a reason with the woman. It got to be something bad about the woman. Hagar was not good when it came to how she felt about Sarai, and Ishmael was mocking Isaac, and Sarah put two and two together. This is the same woman that's been having a problem with me and looking down on me for 13 years and gave my husband a son that I couldn't give him. And then the second my son is finally born, her son is making fun of him. She's connected the dots. You making him do this. He's getting this negative attitude towards me and mine from you. Get rid of them, Abraham. Put her away. Divorce her. But I'm going to show y'all something in the King James Version Bible. Let's go, Jeff, to Leviticus 21:7. Do y'all see everybody on the stage? Have I proven to y'all thus far that every time a woman gets put away, it's always because of some fault with her? Have I proven that? Thoroughly. Every single time. Every single time. It's always something going on with her. Whether it's legitimate or made up, they're going to make it seem like it's something wrong with her. So if Joseph wanted to put away Mary, he had a problem with something Mary did. Something he did. Not something they did together. Just her. That's the put away law, y'all. I got a problem with her. She got to go. Real easy to remember. Repeat after me, Jeff. I'm taking to Sunday school. This the put away. Don't repeat this part when they let you know. This the put away law. Now repeat this part. I got a problem with her.
I got a problem with her.
She got to go.
She got to go.
That's the put away law, y'all. I'm making it real simple for y'all. I'm dumbing this thing all the way down. That's all the put away law is, y'all, in ancient Israel. I got a problem with her. She got to go. That's it. That's the put away law, y'all. The only difference in Genesis is that Sarah was the one that found the problem. But it was still a problem. She got to go. That's the pattern we've been saying, right? You find a problem, she got to go. What was the problem with the women in Ezra? They were pagans. That's the problem, got to go. So, Jeff, what was the problem that Joseph had with Mary?
He suspected her somehow.
You said what? You broke up a little bit.
He suspected her participating in foul play because she was pregnant.
And what comes after, I got a problem with her?
Put her away.
Put her away. She got to go. And that's what he tried to do. That's the pattern you always see, y'all. I got a problem with her. She got to go. If you can't remember that, then I can't teach you. You just beyond help. Something wrong with you. I'm dumbing this thing down so much, Jeff. Like, do you agree that that's something real easy to remember? I got a problem with her. She got to go. Do everybody agree that's real easy to remember for the put away law? Real simple. Just apply it everywhere you see it. And I guarantee you, if you see somebody in the scriptures talking about putting away a woman, it's going to always be predicated on some kind of problem he got with her. Whether it's legitimate or made up, but it's going to be some kind of problem. But watch this. Let's go to Leviticus 21. Let me show y'all something. We're reading about the law concerning the priest. And we're going to see who they were allowed not to marry. Leviticus 21 and verse 7. We're going to read that one verse and we're going to skip through Leviticus chapter 21. Read verse 7. Talking about the sons of Aaron. About the sons of Aaron, by the way, who they are allowed to marry or not marry. Go ahead and read.
Leviticus chapter 21, verse 7. They shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane, Neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto his God.
And you know what, Jeff? Guess what word is translated put away in this verse? The same word translated cast out in Genesis 21:10, garage, 16:44. But notice they translated it put away right here. I'm going to show you that they also translate the same word divorced in the same chapter because they're synonymous. But notice who it groups this put away woman among. It says, they shall not take a wife that is a whore, definitely something wrong with that kind of woman, right? Or profane, definitely something wrong with that kind of woman. Neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband. So this very law is showing you that a put away woman, that means she already got put away. She still is being categorized with something being wrong with her. Do you see that, Jeff?
Yes.
Even after it's done. That doesn't mean she couldn't get remarried. She's just not worthy enough to get her a priest. Do y'all see that? It's letting you know in their culture, in their law, a put away woman, even after the fact, is still looked down upon. She doesn't have the same value as a virgin. Now, maybe now you can understand why it says Joseph did not want to disgrace Mary publicly, because she would have been in the same category as a whore and a put away woman. But skip down, Jeff, and let me show you something else. Read verses 13 and 14. Read that, please.
Leviticus chapter 21, verse 13. And he shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow, or a divorced woman, or profane, or a harlot. These shall he not, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife.
Now look what it says he was allowed to marry. It says, and he shall take a wife in her virginity. That means a virgin, never had sex, never been married. It says a widow. He was not allowed to marry a widow because, you know, that woman's been married before her husband just died. Or a divorced woman. Jeff, did you know that the same word translated divorced woman is the same word translated put away in verse 7, which is the same word translated cast out in Genesis 21:10, which is garage, 1644 in the Hebrew section of the Strong's Exalted Concordance. But notice in
no.
Yes.
Cast out.
So what now, Jeff?
Cast out or put away.
Yes. They're all translated from the same Hebrew word. In verse 14, it's translated divorced woman. In verse 7, it's translated put away. And in Genesis 21:10, it's translated cast out. So Genesis 21:10 could legitimately read, because we're talking about the context of breaking up a marriage. If you kick your wife out of your house and you ain't got nothing to do with her, that's ending the marriage, ain't it, Jeff? Right?
Yes, sir.
Wherefore she said unto Abraham, put away this bondwoman, or divorce this bondwoman. Any one of these are legitimate. Abraham divorced Hagar. And that's why that word is also translated a woman who's been put away, garage, and a woman who's been divorced, garage. But notice where it groups this woman among. She's not worthy enough to marry a priest. She's not invalid to marrying again in general, but she's not worthy enough to marry a priest. Because a woman in ancient Israel that was put away is always looked down upon like it's something she did. Because that's the way they were abusing that law. That's why they grouped her among the whore and the profane. Come on now. And there was a lot of innocent women in Israel who didn't really do anything wrong. Their husband was just trifling and just, wanted somebody else. And just came up with some old bootleg excuse to get rid of her. right? But you already read that. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the Apocrypha. I told y'all I was going to take y'all to the Apocrypha, didn't I? See, that's the thing about it. They don't address that put away. That's a law, y'all. You're going to read about Joseph wanting to put away Mary, which is a law. And you're not going to investigate the law to see when a man ever tries to put away his wife? Every single incident is something wrong with the woman. It's something he thinks she did wrong. It's some kind of problem he has with her. So if Joseph wanted to put away Mary, it's because he thought she did something wrong. He had a problem with her. It was nothing he did. What is wrong with you, one West Hebrews? Seriously. Y'all cannot see that this man felt betrayed? That he felt that this woman ain't right for him? They don't twisted Joseph's whole narrative up. They don't besmirch his character. No, he just got hot and bothered and ran up into Mary and got her pregnant and then tried to hide the pregnancy. It just said that he wanted to put her away because he was a righteous man. It literally said right before he was going to put her away that he was a righteous man, meaning what he was about to do was a product of his righteousness. Now, how in the world can y'all tell me y'all dealing with some educated people and it tells you that Joseph put Mary away or was planning to do it for two reasons? Because he's a righteous man and he didn't want to publicly humiliate her. Now, you can read that and tell me that when it says he wanted to put her away, he was trying to cover his sin and try to get away with something and hide something? Even though it just said the reason why he was putting her away, one of the reasons because he was a righteous man? Do y'all know what righteousness is? They'll be like me writing the book and say Tazaryach, because he was a righteous man, proceeded to sleep with his brother's wife. Huh? Y'all like, Josh, don't you mean unrighteous? No, I meant righteous. Then what's your definition of righteous, Josh? I'm going to channel my inner Joe Clark from Lean On Me. If that's what y'all getting out of that, that means you can hardly read. Y'all can hardly read if you're getting that out of that. Y'all don't know what righteousness is? It lets you know what he's about to do is because he's a righteous man. He's putting her away because that's why Israelite men put women away. They suspected something they didn't like about the woman, or they made up something they didn't like. But they always put it on the woman. Well, Josh, maybe that's all Joseph was doing. Maybe he got her pregnant and he was trying to put it all on her. But it just said he was a righteous man. If it didn't say he was a righteous man, and y'all were making that argument, y'all might have something to say. But it just told you he's a righteous man. And he didn't want to publicly humiliate her. So no matter where you run, you're done. But let's go here. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus or Sirach. We're going to go into Septuagint 25, and we're going to read verses 25 and 26. It's on page 96 in the Apocryphal section of the Septuagint, by the way, Jeff. This is ridiculous. They had a whole debate. What Mama Self say, nearly 1,000 people all showing up to get rocked to sleep by Captain Tazaryach. Because that's all he was doing, rocking them to sleep. Ain't nobody going to ask, why did Joseph want to put away Mary? He wanted to put her away. That's a legal term. You can't just make up reasons for put away. You got to go into the law and see what put away means. Put away is when a man got rid of his wife. He was legally doing it. It was legal. We ain't talking about a guy who just abandoned his wife and just started going out messing with a bunch of women. We ain't talking about that. We talking about a guy who legally did it. Because it was legal. But they had to give a reason that made the woman look bad to put her away. That's what Josephus said. That's what we're going to read about what they was asking Jesus. And Jesus going to set the record straight. And even Jesus is going to let you know you still couldn't put the woman away unless it was thought she did bad. The pattern still stays intact, Jeff, even with Jesus' new understanding on when you can legitimately get a divorce. The pattern still remained intact. Then I'm going to take y'all to Paul and show you that the pattern still remained intact. It still got to be something the woman did. It just got to be legitimate. That's the only difference, Jeff. It got to be legitimate. What is this? On page 96, Tazaryach in the Septuagint, Tazaryach chapter 26, and we're going to read verses 25 and 26. Go ahead, Jeff.
26, 25, and 26. Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 25. You sure it's 26, Josh? Or 25?
It's 25 and 26. You're reading both verses.
I'm saying it's the chapter.
Yeah, it's 25.
Okay. All right. Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 25. A shameless woman.
No, hold on. It's chapter 25 and verses 25 and 26. So it's on page 96.
Yeah, I got it, brother.
Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 25, verse
25.
Verse 25. Hold on, I just got to get my eyesight. This print is like really stuck.
Oh yeah, I get a headache every time I read the Septuagint, bro.
Give the warder no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad.
Now look what it said. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. That means just be free to just running around being wicked, right? And it's going to show you this applies to a man's wife. It's going to let you know that. Go ahead and read.
Verse 26. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go. Now
notice what it said. If she goes not as thou wouldest have her, who's this she? This same woman that is potentially wicked. Right? It says, cut her off from your flesh and give her a bill of divorcement, Deuteronomy 24:1, and let her go. So, Jeff, even in this verse right here, what is the reason that the author is giving for putting away this woman? What's the reason? Just read verse 26.
Yeah, it says if she goes not as thou wouldest have her.
What does that mean though? If she goes not as you would have her, what do you think that means?
Something he didn't like about her.
Exactly. If she does something you don't like or does not listen to you, give her a bill of divorcement and let her go or put her away. Again, Jeff, who's the fault being put on for the man to put the woman away?
The woman.
Every single time, y'all. Every single time. That is ancient Israel law and culture. You always put away a woman if you had a problem with something she did or something she was. So why did Joseph want to put away Mary? Even if you don't know the specifics, you can say he must have had some kind of problem with her. That's the only way you can answer that question. That's the least possible answer you can give, like the least. The most is because she got pregnant and he thought it wasn't his. He knew it wasn't his. That's what it always means. You have to look at the law of putting away. I got a problem with her, she got to go. That's all the putting away law is. I got a problem with her, she got to go. That's the pattern. You don't see anything else. So don't try to make put away mean anything other than that. It's a legal term that means a man got some kind of problem with his wife and he wants to end the marriage or the engagement. That's all it ever means. It never means anything else outside of a marriage. or an engagement. It never means anything else. So when you see in the scriptures a man putting away a wife, it means he either got a legitimate problem with her or he making up some mess as an excuse to get rid of her. But either way, it always falls on her. Well, let's move on, Jeff. We winding it down. Now let's go to Matthew chapter 19. We got 3 more after that. See, this is why they don't want to debate me or Dre about this. They don't want to debate us on this because we end this madness. Y'all don't even know why a man puts away his wife. It's all throughout the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Apocrypha. You don't even know why a man put away his wife. You don't even know what it means for a man to put away his wife. Or you do, and then you try to act stupid when you get to Matthew chapter 1 and verse 19. All these Hebrews know what it means to put away your wife. They all know it. Come on, y'all. Who we kidding? They know at least that much. Then turn around and ask them, why does a man put away his wife then? Why? Did you go to Deuteronomy 24:1? Because he finds some kind of vague, really no defined specific reason that the law says to put her away. That law is vague on purpose. That's why Josephus, when he was interpreting, he was like, any reason. Y'all won't see that's what Jesus said right here. Matthew 19. Let me get that with you, Jeff. When you get there, we're going to read verses 3 to 9. Matthew 19, verses 3 to 9. Go ahead and read, please, Jeff.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 3. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, it is lawful for a man to put away his wife.
Hold on, you went out for a minute, Jeff. Read it again and read it like as a question because it sounds like you read it as a statement. Go ahead again, please.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 2. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? Now,
this is what is known as a setup question, because they knew, according to Deuteronomy 24:1, Moses said yes. So what they're trying to do, which they often tried to do, is try to get Jesus to say something that went against the law of Moses. Right? So they asked him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? We know from reading Deuteronomy 24:1 that according to that, yes. And according to Josephus, yes. But watch how Jesus answers. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. And he answered and said unto them, have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh?
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, they are no more for one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
So Jesus took them all the way back to Genesis. Like Genesis 1 and like 27, right? To define how permanent marriage is supposed to be. That's why he said, what God has joined together, let not man put asunder. Because man is going to always be the reason behind a divorce. Right? Whether it's legitimate or not. Right? But keep reading. Watch what they ask him.
They said unto him, why did Moses then command to give in writing of divorcement and to put her away?
See, they already had this in the chamber. They were asking him about a law that they knew stated you could divorce your woman for any cause, for any reason. So they were trying to trap him to go against the law of Moses. But what he threw them off with was giving them a take on marriage that was established in the beginning. He took them to the foundation of marriage, which is Genesis, with Adam and Eve, right? So when he hit them with that, they knew they couldn't, say anything against that. So they took him back and asked him, well, then why did Moses command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away. Notice they're quoting Deuteronomy 24:1. But if you go back and read Deuteronomy 24:1, it doesn't use the wording put her away. So this lets me know when I read this in Matthew 19, when it was saying divorce her, it's the same as put away. But we know that when we went through Leviticus 21 and showed how the word garage was used interchangeably with put away and divorce. We know they mean the same thing. So they want to know, why did Moses allow divorce then? For any reason. Now watch what Jesus says. Go ahead and read.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 8. He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffer you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so.
It says, Jesus tells them why Moses allowed them to do that. Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered, which means allowed you to put away your wives. Hardness of your heart in the scriptures always means somebody being stubborn and not wanting to do something. Moses allowed them to do that because they were stubborn. And stubbornness is as witchcraft or wickedness. But he's letting you know from the beginning it was not so. God never from the beginning ordained divorce. He never wanted it to be a thing. Now read the next verse and watch what he tells them. And watch the pattern is going to stay intact. Go ahead and read.
Verse 9. And I say unto you, whoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery.
Now look what he said. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication. That means she plays the harlot on you, meaning she's sleeping with other people, or that's adultery, by the way, or playing the harlot, same thing. And shall marry another, committeth adultery. So even Jesus told you the only way you could put away your wife is if she does something wrong. It still puts the fault on her. It just very much limits what you can do to put away your wife, like the reasons. But it's still on her. The pattern is still intact. Now, a man cannot put away his wife unless, in modern terms, she cheats on him. But there's another reason, too, that goes beyond this. But this is what he's telling them. But notice, what is the reason a man has to be given to put away his wife? She has to play the harlot. But notice it still has to be on her. Have y'all noticed that every time we read about a woman being put away, it's always something that's on her? In this case, Jesus is wording it, she got to, commit fornication against you. But it's still on her. The pattern doesn't change. She is still the problem. It's just a genuine problem. It ain't that contrived crap a lot of our Hebrew forefathers are coming up with. Right? But let's move on. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7. This is what me and Cal for the Dust was trying to explain to that guy named B. Raw last week, and he just was not getting it. Because some people don't come to learn, they come to contend. And we only got one more after that. Y'all gonna tell me any other if any reason you give for Joseph putting Mary away is anything other than Mary being at fault and Mary alone, then you lying on Scripture. You lying on the law. It has to be something that Joseph thought was Mary's fault and hers alone. That is the only way men ever put away women according to the law and according to Israelite culture. It don't got to be a real legitimate reason. It can be some old made up BS, but it's still going to fall on the woman. This is 1 Corinthians 7. Let's see if Paul kept with the pattern. Let's see if he kept with it. 1 Corinthians 7, we're going to read verses 10 to 13. Go ahead and read.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10. And until the marriage I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband.
Now he's talking to married people. He said, unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. Don't let her leave. This ain't talking about leave and divorce. It's talking about like her leaving, like, you know, and eventually getting a divorce. It's gonna let you see that. You'll see. Go ahead and read.
Verse 11. But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife.
See, look what it says. But, and if she depart. Because, you know, couples are supposed to dwell together. You know, unless somebody's trying to hurt somebody or something like that. He said, but, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried. If she leaves, she cannot go and get remarried or be reconciled to her husband. Those are your options, sister, if you leave. Either you remain unmarried or you reconcile to your husband, right? And let not the husband put away his wife. Why not? Because in this case, she ain't done anything. Remember, it always got to be on her, right? Now we're dealing with like legitimate, real reasons you can actually put away your wife. Jesus already gave you one, you know, adultery, or she's, you know, playing a harlot against you, which is still adultery, right? But go ahead and read.
Verse 12. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord.
He said, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. Is Paul saying that he just making this stuff up and he didn't get this from the Lord? In a way, yes, but also in a way, no. The reason why Paul is saying this is because he's speaking on something that Jesus or the law necessarily states specifically. In situations like that, he's using his authority as an apostle to say what should be done in a situation like this. That's why he says, speak I, not the Lord. See, if you really understand the Bible, there are times when neither the law nor the gospel addresses certain issues. And when that happens, the apostles have the God-given authority to lay down, like what you say, lay down the law, right? It still got to be obeyed. He's just letting you know the Messiah never specifically spoke on what I'm about to tell you, right? But go ahead and read.
But to the rest, I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Now,
he's talking about people who are already married, and the husband gets into the faith, but the wife remains a pagan. But look what Paul is still saying. If any brother have a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Notice it's still putting the stipulation on you being able to put her away on what she's doing. That's why I said if she be pleased to dwell with. Y'all see that? But watch what happens though. Because it always, even when you put them away, even with Paul, even with Jesus, every time, read the next verse. And this is what Caleb was trying to let the other brother see. He just wasn't getting it. Go ahead and read.
Verse 13. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
I just want to point out that it said let her not leave him rather than let her not put him away. There's one other instance where it's talking about a woman putting away a husband in the Gospels. It's in Mark. But I just find it funny that when he came to her, it said don't let her leave. It always makes the man be like the home base, like where they live in. It's still carrying on. My whole point is it's still carrying on that culture that when a divorce happened in Israel, the wife had to pack her bags and leave. See, a lot of y'all sisters ain't ready for this, man. I got a whole class that I never done and have been planning on doing for like 15 years. I just never got around to doing it. It's called the prenup God. I'm saying, man, we serve today the God of Israel, man. He is an Indian giver in this marriage. You come with nothing. If y'all get a divorce, you leave with nothing. He took back everything he gave Israel when he cast them away or cast them out. Israel couldn't remarry nobody because no other place could really give him a covenant. But he took everything. Right? But that's another lesson. But read the next verse. Get down and read verse 15.
Verse 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 15. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace.
Now, it says if a brother or sister depart, meaning an unbelieving brother or sister depart from a believing spouse, husband or wife, it says you are not under bondage in such cases. Like, stay with them. But the point is, even though it includes brother or sister in this, if you are a brother, it's still saying the woman has to leave. So it's still in order for you to put her away. You follow what I'm saying? She has to depart and never come back. Like she's gone. It's still putting it on the woman. This is still saying you can't put her away until after she abandons you. Which still means it's something she had to do. Right, Jeff?
That's right, brother.
Every single case you read about putting away is always on something the woman had to do. It's always her at fault. You can't read a put away case in the Bible without the man having some kind of problem with the woman or something she did or something she held. In this case, her just leaving the marriage. No matter how you look at it, you can't read that. Jesus told you you can't put her away unless she cheat on you. Paul says you can't put her away unless she abandons the marriage. And if she's pleased to dwell with, though an unbeliever, you can't put her away. But all of them got something in common. Even that law of Moses in Deuteronomy 24:1, it still has to be something the woman does. It always had to be that. So why would Joseph be the exception? Now that we understand that every single incident, both from Hebrew history, from the Old Testament, from the New Testament, and even from the Apocrypha, all agree that putting away a woman was only done by men that felt she had done something wrong, or the law says she done something wrong. Now that we understand that, now let's go back to Matthew chapter 1. And we're going to read verses 18 to 20. We're going to start right where we were, and this is the last place we're going. Why did Joseph want to put away Mary? Because he found some kind of fault with her. Let's see that. Let's put that in action. Now that we see, now we've got a foundation of what put away legally and how the Hebrews understood it legally and culturally. Now that we got that out the way, by the time we get to the New Testament, nobody can tell you that Joseph put Mary away for any reason other than thinking she had done something wrong or there was something wrong with her. Nobody can tell you that. Right? So now this is Matthew chapter 1, 18 to 20. When you get there, Jeff, read it, please.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph before they came together. she was found with the child of the Holy Ghost.
And this is the only thing we read about Mary as it pertains to her and Joseph being together. That's it. Everything else is just genealogy up to this point. So this is the first incident that we read about Mary and Joseph interacting as an engaged couple. And it tells us she was found with child, meaning she was impregnated by or through the Holy Spirit. So the only thing we got, y'all, because we can't add nothing, we can't infer nothing that's not being inferred. All we know before we get to verse 18 in this chapter is a bunch of freaking genealogy. And now we get in the first action that occurred since Joseph and Mary came into the picture as a couple. And all we got is this woman is pregnant, and it says the Holy Ghost is behind it. So that means if the next thing you read is Joseph wanting to put this woman away, it has to be because of the one and only thing it says happened to her right before. Do everybody on the stage agree with that?
That's true, brother.
Do everybody see that? Y'all got that? Okay. I guess everybody else can't say nothing. You can come off your mic. Now that we understand that, now read the next verse.
Verse 19. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily.
And now that we know that putting away a woman in a marriage or in an engagement is done only by men in Israel that has a problem with that woman or think she did something bad. Now that we know that, we have to be honest and use the intelligence the Most High gave us and say, okay, if he wanted to put her away, that means she had to do something bad, or he thought she did something bad, or he got a problem with her. We know that. So now we got to ask ourselves, what did we read up to this point that would make Joseph want to put her away? If you start from verse 1 and stop at verse 17, all we got is genealogy. I know Joseph didn't want to put her away because of the genealogical records in Matthew chapter 1. Right? So why did he want to put her away? The only thing that you can read about that happened before this is that Mary got pregnant. So then you got to ask yourself, if Joseph was a righteous man, why would a righteous man want to get rid of or end the engagement with a woman that's pregnant? The only reason that makes sense and that gels with his character and gels with the legal definition of putting away of a woman as it pertains to marriage, for all of that to line up and make sense and to be coherent with scripture and law and Hebrew culture, the only reason could be he didn't think he was behind that pregnancy. That's the only thing. That's the only thing we read about. She gets pregnant, he wants to put her away. And it says he's a righteous man. Now, if it said he was a conniving man or wicked, and it said he got her pregnant, she got pregnant, he wanted to put her away, then maybe some of y'all can argue, yeah, that he was trifling. But it said he was righteous. And it also said he did not want to publicly disgrace her. But now keep reading, Jeff, because we stopped here at the beginning. I want you to read right over in the chapter, verse 20. Watch what it says.
Verse 20. But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost.
Are y'all kidding me at this point? Can y'all honestly tell me y'all are that indoctrinated as one West Hebrews that you cannot see that this angel is trying to convince Joseph to stay with Mary. Don't put her away because she didn't step out on you. This is from God. She's pregnant through the power of God. But look at the wording he used. But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take up to thee Mary thy wife. Yes, what are you scared of? What are you scared of, Jeff?
She was pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't you be scared to marry a woman you were engaged to if she got pregnant and you knew it wasn't yours?
Of course, it's natural because we didn't know about the Holy Ghost until after she got pregnant.
Exactly. The angel had to tell him in a dream. The angel did not say, Joseph, stop being trifling and take that woman as your wife. Don't try to hide her pregnancy. It didn't say nothing like that. This is all the stuff they're making up. The angel is telling Joseph it took something supernatural, and I'm going to be real with y'all. It would take something supernatural to convince Josh if I was in that scenario too, because I ain't believing jack that woman say. God himself or an angel got to show up like, yeah, man, it's the Holy Ghost did that. And God knew that. No man would believe that. That's why it took something supernatural. But why is an angel getting involved in dreams and telling him don't be afraid to take a woman? Why all the theatrics if Joseph knew he knocked Mary up? You mean to tell me you sleep with your fiance and get her pregnant, and an angel got to show up and be like, don't be scared. Go ahead and marry her. That is what I was planning to do anyway. I just jumped the gun a little bit. But he wanted to put her away. Why? Because as we know, putting away always means you got a problem with the woman. You think she did something bad, or you think something is wrong with her in general. And now that we know that only thing they said that happened before Joseph wanted to put her away is that she was found with child of the Holy Ghost. She got pregnant by something other than him. And he knew he hadn't ever touched her. That was the fault. So to answer the question, why did Joseph want to put away Mary? It's because he thought she had played the harlot against him and got pregnant in the process. That's it. It ain't really that deep. When you understand the legal use of put away, you know it always is done by a husband that has fault with the wife. This is why nobody in that chat room during that debate on Garfield's channel between Tazaryach and Vocab Malone wanted to answer my question. It's the same title of this class. Why did Joseph want to put away Mary? They can't answer that question honestly because they know if they do, it's telling you that Joseph did not believe he was the biological father of Jesus. What kind of idiot would not believe he's the father if he know he's the only one knocked her up? He's the only one slept with her. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't say he slept with her and then a lot of time passed and then she got pregnant and he didn't think it was him. This happened before they even touched each other. It's going to tell you that, right? But now, skip down and let's read verses 24 to 25, and then that's it. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 24. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife.
What happened here, y'all? Remember, a man in ancient Israel only puts away his wife if he thinks something is wrong with her or that she did something bad or wrong. That's what Joseph thought. The angel came to him in a dream and said, she ain't did nothing bad. There's no fault with her. So don't put her away. Don't be afraid to take her as your wife. You only put away if she's done something wrong or if you suspect she's done something wrong. she has not. So go ahead and marry her. That's why it says, then Joseph, being raised from his sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife. He went ahead and married her because he had no reason to put her away anymore. This is simple. Now read the last verse.
Verse 25. And knew her not till she had brought forth a son. And he called his name Jesus.
It says, and knew her not. Y'all know it don't mean know in the sense of being acquainted with somebody or having knowledge of them. This is a euphemism for having sex. So what this is saying is, he did not have sex with her until she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus. In other words, Mary was a virgin all the way up until she had Jesus, and afterwards it says Joseph had sex with her. It doesn't say anything about Joseph touching this woman prior to this event. He did not want to touch her because he thought somebody else had. So we don't have to get off into, according to prophecy, and it says in Luke that Mary referred to Joseph as Jesus' father. Me and your father have been looking for you. Man, screw all of that. The narrative lets you know that this man is not the daddy. He didn't even believe he's the daddy. How in the world you going to say that that's Joseph's child, and Joseph don't even believe that's his child? That's why he wanted to put the woman away. Come on, y'all. Think, McFly, think. So, again, to answer the question, why did Joseph want to put away Mary? It is because Joseph thought Mary had played the harlot against him, or in modern terms, cheated on him, and got pregnant in the process. We'll be back after these brief announcements. All right, y'all. Once again, I don't know how many people is in this room. Auntie will probably look and find out for us. But shout out to all of y'all who's been here since the beginning, and some of y'all who came in near the middle, and some of y'all who came in the end and are still around now. We have Sabbath class. I opened up the clubhouse room, and I tried to do something simultaneous with fan base today, but I was getting no sound. I checked with Charles Goodlow. He said there is no sound coming from fan base. I think it's because I tried to use my other phone for it, but I needed my phone, that other phone, to call in to Blog Talk Radio, and it would not let me do both. And I can't sacrifice the Blog Talk because Blog Talk lets me record my classes. Clubhouse does too, but I don't know if y'all know this or not. If you look at any replays you got on Clubhouse, after a while, your newer replays start to replace your older ones. So if you got anything on Clubhouse on replay, and you're constantly on Clubhouse with the replay feature on, eventually you're going to lose your old stuff unless you download it to your phone. And that's why I choose Blog Talk over Fanbase, because I had to sacrifice one for the Sabbath, and of course I'm going to go with the one that allows me to record my stuff, right? So I'm going to figure something out, though, because I know it's a way around this somewhere. I'm just not thinking about them, overthinking or whatever. But I'm going to figure out a way to have all three of them going, Clubhouse, Blog Talk, and Fanbase. I'm going to figure it out. Just give me a little time. Right? But anyway, we open our Clubhouse room and go on Blog Talk Radio, and we'll be going on Fanbase at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday, every Sabbath. Then I play a nice little music for y'all for about 30 minutes, and the actual study starts around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right? Right now, Joel Mills tells me that the online store is under construction. So right now, nobody can purchase anything from the online store. He's working on it. I think he's going to get us a whole new, updated, brand new site. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was telling me, right? And when that happens, I plan on trying to have one or both of my books available for purchase. Yes, I'm currently writing 2 books. I'm revising my 70 questions to ask a member of the Israel of God, and I'm working on my Book of Maxims, my modern day Book of Maxims. Still ain't got a title for it yet. I got to come up with a title, y'all. I'm tripping, right? Also, if anybody is, I'll keep y'all updated on that. I'll let y'all know when the store's back up and running, when the books are available, all that good stuff. For anybody who's interested in that, and for anybody who's interested, of course, in purchasing past classes. Also, if you're interested in making a donation, if you just feel blessed by what you're hearing and would like to support financially, you can do so one of two ways. The first way is through PayPal using our email address, meaning you can also email us at this address. And some people have been emailing me, right? The address is absolutebibletruth4ever@yahoo.com. There's Absolute Bible Truth, the number 4, EVA@yahoo.com. You don't spell out the word 4, you actually type numerical digit 4. So that's Absolute Bible Truth forever@yahoo.com. And of course, the other way you can donate is through Cash App using the Cash App tag, which is $ capital ABTM lowercase s. Again, that's $ capital ABTM lowercase s. And in case you're wondering, that stands for Absolute Bible Truth Ministries.